Are you ready for it? We're ready for it. We welcome Rev Pam McMillan. We're going to talk about Taylor Swift, her words, songs, and impact. Pam's version. Pam.
So, of course, you are ready for this service because you have been inundated with all things Taylor Swift, not only for the last 45 minutes in service, but truthfully for the better part of 2 years. You open a social media app on your phone and you see pictures of her concerts. You turn on the news and there she is. Heck, you turn on the Super Bowl and there she is. But what I want to say is this topic came about because someone who I know who is a Unitarian suggested this as a potential topic, suggested wanting to hear more about Taylor Swift and her influence. And the reason I respect Unitarians so much is your chronic curiosity. Here is a celebrity who has massive global influence on society, and rather than dismissing her outright, you lean in and you want to know more. Even if you don't fully understand, you want to learn. I will say this, I am not an expert in all things Taylor Swift. I am what you would call a late-in-life Swiftie. I knew her music casually and occasionally would sing along with You Belong to Me when it came on the radio. But for now, what I need you to grant me is grace. Grace to the Swifties of Swifties. I hope I do our girl justice. By show of hands, how many people would identify as a Swiftie here? Anybody?
I'll take it.
Okay, we got one. I got one. To the rest of you, I hope that we can offer a little bit of perspective and help you see this young woman in a new light and the meaning behind her artistry. And so we do have some slides that Beth is going to help us out with. We're going to go into some stats, some statistics about Taylor Swift. Oh yeah, there's Pam's version. By the way, my boyfriend made all these slides and he did a really good job, so be impressed. Okay, great. So here's some stats about Taylor. As of October 2023, her net worth was estimated at over $1 billion, declared by Forbes. Next one. Currently, Taylor she's still continuing her Eras tour, currently in London. It is the highest grossing concert tour of all time, and the first to ever gross over $1 billion. She is the first and only artist to ever win the Grammy for Album of the Year 4 times, beating Frank Sinatra and Paul Simon. The Tortured Poets, oh, here we go. I'm sorry, I'm moving faster. Okay. The Tortured Poets Department, which is her most recent album, debuted #1 on the Billboard chart, her 14th chart-topping album. This one I think you will especially appreciate. After one post on Instagram encouraging fans to vote, Vote.org recorded 35,000 new voter registrations after one post. And for any football fans in here, I heard there was a lot of complaining about her showing up on all the football games, but here's something that's really interesting. Roger Goodell reports a $300 million impact on the NFL since the pop star started dating Travis Kelce. 243 songs, 11 studio albums, 4 re-recorded albums, 6 world tours in 18 years. She is only 34. Yeah. So the question is why? Why these numbers? Why does this person more than any other pop singer in history? And the truth is, I didn't have firm answers, so I did what any smart person would do. I went to Facebook. And what I did was I posted on Facebook and I said, help me understand what Taylor Swift means to you. And here what you have are pictures that people have sent to me of them going to their concerts. In the top right-hand corner, that's actually my nephew and my brother and my sister-in-law. They've attended these concerts and this is what they shared with me. These are what people from Facebook have said. She is someone I am glad my daughter looks up to. I love her willingness to stand in the spotlight in her true form, unapologetically. I respect her re-recording all her songs so that she can have ownership over them. She's a self-made billionaire, but she still cares about others. I like this one. The literary nuance of her writing spoke to my AP literature heart. She has brought to light feminism and marginalized injustices and fought so hard for women and others over the years. And then, of course, my 10-year-old niece, Lily, said, because Taylor Swift is amazing. Her music is very good. This is just a small sample of the people in my life and what Taylor means to them. When I heard these stories, there is a running theme. Taylor gets it. Taylor gets me. What it means to grow up from girlhood to womanhood and all of the joy and the pain that comes with it. Each song may sound like a love song, but the truth is, after the second or third or 10th listen, you start to hear the nuance. There are layers. These songs are about friendship and complications and business betrayal. Somehow she writes about her own personal experience with striking specificity, but yet it speaks to the universality of the human experience. She's not writing generalized pop songs for the masses, but she's writing out of what she herself has experienced. And the interesting thing is, out of her own vulnerability, people grab onto and they start to see themselves in her work. And while I cannot go through her entire 11 album in the course of a Sunday morning, what we can do is look at some of her songs as a way of decoding the mystery. What is underneath? What does she mean to her fans, and what does she go into as far as her artistry and writing? And the first song we're going to talk about, if you want to move to the next slide, is one that we've already heard this morning, which is Best Day. You've already heard this song. Taylor Swift was born on December 13th, 1989 in Reading, Pennsylvania. She was always an ambitious child, always wanting to be a singer. Her first moment in the spotlight was singing the Star-Spangled Banner at a Philadelphia 76ers basketball game when she was only 11 years old. Not long after, there is a day when she decides to call up her friends to see if they wanted to go to the mall. All of them said that they were busy. They couldn't make it. But her beloved mother, Andrea, said, you know what? I'll take you to the mall. So they head out to go to the mall, window shopping, and guess who they see at the mall? All of her friends hanging out without her. For an 11-year-old, this is devastating. This is a devastating moment for any 11-year-old to know that your friends would lie to you and betray you like that. Her mother sees this happening and she says, you know what, we're going to leave and we're going to go to an even better mall. And later when she signs with Big Machine Records, she actually writes about this incident in this song, Best Day. But as you heard, it's not a mean or vindictive song about these girls. The song tells this story, yes, but it doesn't take place in the mall. The song takes place in the car, where she's reflective both on this horrible pain, but also feelings of gratitude for her mother. As mentioned, the music video was actually a Mother's Day present, and it showcases all of these videos and images from her childhood. From the very beginning, Taylor Swift is writing in a way that is reflective and thoughtful. Even though her writing is autobiographical, it doesn't paint her experiences with this shiny veneer. It's relatable. She says, I don't know who I'm going to talk to now at school, but I know I'm laughing on the car ride home with you. It's relatable because we all know what it's like to be snubbed by our friends. Amen? Right? We know this feeling. This is a girl who is able to, at a young age, step back from that pain. Admit that she doesn't have the answers, but still able to recognize that what she has in that present moment and be grateful for it. That's maturity that I don't always have, right? And then the next song we want to talk about is All Too Well, which we will also hear later today. Once Taylor released her first albums, Taylor Swift and Fearless, she's quickly becoming a huge pop star. And with that comes a very famous dating pool. Many a writer has cataloged her relationships: Joe Jonas, John Mayer, Taylor Lautner, Tom Hiddleston, and of course, Jake Gyllenhaal. Her way of processing through the feelings of all these relationships has always been through song. In one of her songs, one of her very, very famous songs, All Too Well, she chronicles her relationship with Jake Gyllenhaal with this intimate and explosive details. It tells the story of someone reflecting back on a failed relationship, knowing that yet there were tender moments, but also seeing the manipulation, that it was doomed from the start. She takes cliches and metaphors and turns them on their head. You call me up again just to break me like a promise, so casually cruel in the name of being honest. Right? This line is just so poetic. Who hasn't been on the receiving end of cruelty? The other person defending themselves saying, I'm just coming from a place of honesty. Right? Here she is being raw about what this relationship meant to her and how much pain she suffered along this way. This has been one of her most popular songs for its authentic realness. It strikes a chord with her audience. It's a premier breakup song. Next song we've also heard about already, which is called The Man. Unsurprisingly, Taylor Swift has been a champion for female empowerment. Women and girls of all ages look up to her, encouraged by what she's been able to carve her own path to stardom, despite what other men have tried to do. When I did put out this call about Taylor Swift songs and what they mean to people, I was surprised that this song, The Man, from her album Lover, made it to the top of that list. One of my friends wrote, "It sums up so much about the female experience. I wish I had a song like that when I was growing up to sing at the top of my lungs when I was a teenager." Another friend of mine actually had a 15-year-old daughter who sent me an essay about what Taylor Swift meant to her and specifically talked about this song. And this is what she wrote. I really was taken aback all of the things I realized I relate to and didn't realize it was sexist towards women. And it made me feel incredibly heard and understood. It made me feel not alone. This one girl, it got me. For all that she has had to endure at the age of 15 at the hands of boys, trying to pretend to be men, for all the challenges she continues to face at the hands of misogyny and patriarchy that she will her entire life, here in this song, she feels seen. She is not alone. One of the lines is, "I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I would get there any quicker if I was a man. And I'm so sick of them coming at me again, because if I was a man, I'd be the man." One of the things I particularly love about that music video is that that's Taylor Swift when dressed in a man. I don't think it's the old man, but the earlier man that's angry with the tennis racket. That's her. She's actually dressed as a man in that situation, and it showcases her willingness to be silly, her willingness to be, she doesn't take herself super seriously, and I love that she is, at her heart, a goofball. Now, the next song. Look What You Made Me Do. We do have to, if we're going to talk about Taylor Swift, we have to talk about a couple of very important moments in her life that we're going to highlight. And the first is her first encounter with betrayal at the hands of one Kanye West. Early in her career, Taylor had a well-known encounter with at the VMAs with Kanye West. While she is accepting an award for Best Music Video, Kanye famously gets on stage to praise Beyonce for her video, and the famous, "Taylor, I'm gonna let you talk, but," that moment. Then years later, Kanye releases a song and a video with very, very vulgar lyrics and images about Taylor. After Taylor pushed back at saying that this was not acceptable and she never gave Kanye permission for him to use her name, his wife at the time, Kim Kardashian, released a doctored video that showed a seemingly innocent Taylor giving Kanye consent over the phone. Kim called Taylor a liar and a snake. And Kim's fans, who at the time far outnumbered Taylor Swift, were unleashed on social media. And they bombarded her social media with images of snakes. Tabloids couldn't resist this story, and they tore Taylor apart. In her article on Person of the Year in Time magazine, Taylor says this: "Make no mistake, it was a career death. That took me down physiologically, psychologically, to places I have never been before. I moved to a foreign country. I didn't leave my rental house for a year. I was afraid to get on phone calls. I pushed away most people in my life because I didn't trust anyone anymore. I went down really, really hard." Months later, Taylor reclaims the image of a snake. She releases an album called Reputation with a lot of snake imagery. It's one of her most raw and anger-fueled albums. At the heart of it is thank you so much. At the heart of its reinvention and reclaiming what has been taken from her. The song that we're going to listen to in just a moment starts, "I don't like your little games. I don't like your tilted stage," which is clearly a reference that is not very veiled to Kanye, who had a tilted stage on tour. And we hear these lyrics: "I don't like your kingdom keys. They once belonged to me. You asked me for a place to sleep, locked me out and threw a feast." She's talking about the keys to the kingdom of fame. She had them, worked to befriend people she didn't like just so they wouldn't stay mad at her anymore, only to have them stab her in the back in the end. And I don't know about you, but I can certainly relate to trying to befriend people that I know I don't like or I don't trust just so they will stop being mean to me. But she refuses to let this define her. "I got smarter, I got harder in the nick of time. Honey, I rose up from the dead, I do it all the time." Here she's saying, this didn't kill me. I'm coming back. I'm not here to please anyone anymore. I'm not a little girl. She is writing her own rules and not bending the knee to anyone anymore. So she's writing her own rules. And we see this most clearly in the next song and the next stage of her life that we want to talk about today, which is the re-records and My Tears Ricochet. The next big thing that happens in Taylor's life is that the masters of Taylor's songs are sold to someone that she does not like, and it was done without her knowledge or consent. Now, something to note when it comes to music, there are two types of copyrights. There is the general song lyrics, and then there's the actual recordings. They are two separate copyrights. The actual recordings are what we hear on the radio. The person who makes money from the plays on the radio is whoever owns what's called the masters. When she first signed with Big Machine Records, they were the ones who owned her masters. Taylor wakes up one day to learn that her masters have been sold. She was told that they may go up for sale soon by Big Machine. She was not given the opportunity that she had hoped for to buy them back. Then one day, they were just sold to someone she didn't trust, and they were sold by someone that she did trust, the CEO of Big Machine, Scott Borchetta. So she does something that flips the script on the recording industry forever. Because of a legal loophole in her contract with Big Machine, she is able to re-record all of her songs with brand new artwork. She's able to do this because she owns the original lyrics, and the loophole in the contract said she could re-record starting in November of 2020. She now markets each song with the phrase Taylor's version in parentheses, which is why this message is called Taylor Swift Pam's version. You get it now? It's a tremendous amount of work to re-record all of these albums. But she does it. Fearless, Red, Speak Now, 1989. She hasn't finished, but for each of those albums, she's essentially tanked the original recording, the value of the original masters. She will no longer be able to be owned by anyone else ever again. She writes about this experience in a song on her 2020 album, Folklore, my personal favorite album. The song is called My Tears Ricochet. And while it sounds very much like a breakup song, it is speculated to be about the man that she trusted, Scott Borchetta, the one who sold her masters in the first place. The song tells the story of someone who was trusted, someone who was always supportive, only to pull out the rug from under you and betray you. Despite the pain, she didn't have it in herself to go with grace. This was someone who believed in her. One of the lyrics that we'll hear in a moment, I can go anywhere I want. I can go anywhere I want, just not home. I still talk to you when I'm screaming at the sky. And when you can't sleep at night, you hear my stolen lullabies. I especially wanted you to see that clip because it shows just a small glimpse of what her performances look like, which are absolutely incredible. But it's that last line that gets me. When you can't sleep at night, you hear my stolen lullabies. This is a direct reference to what has been taken from her. In another part of the song, she says, I can go anywhere I want. I can go anywhere I want, just not home. For Taylor, home is a place where she is safe and the people in her life are to be trusted. And she can never go back there. She is the biggest pop star in the world. She can go anywhere, but she can't go back home to where she feels safe. In a podcast episode from The Daily, there is an episode that talks about this. And one of the writers, Taffy Brodesser-Akner, tells the story of her own business betrayal, how she was such a valued writer at one of her first jobs, only to find out she was being paid exorbitantly less than her male coworkers. This woman describes going to her concert, hearing this song, and thousands of people singing, I can go anywhere I want, just not home. And this woman has a religious experience, and she starts to weep because she is seen. She's seen by thousands and thousands of women who know exactly what it's like to be betrayed like this. It is a religious experience to be in a community and to feel truly seen. You want to go ahead, next slide? It may sound ridiculous, but that's exactly how much Taylor means to her fans. I do believe the community of Swifties has become a sacred space for many of them. It's a world of friendship bracelets, of joy and laughter, where strangers from all over the world feel safe and become friends, where women feel so safe without any threat of violence. All are welcome. All are seen and known by this artist and by one another. In Psychology Today, there's an article called 7 Reasons Taylor Swift is Good for Her Fans' Mental Health. The author points out that humans have this survival-based need to feel understood and validated, to have a tribe of like-minded people. The Swifties share a global sense of belonging. No matter the divisiveness of the larger culture, they remain united. One woman I talked to told me about the love that the music that she loved when she was 16 is now something she can share with her daughters, sharing a sense of generational bonding. Taylor's lyrics in many ways give audience lyrics to offer comfort and healthy coping. They're able to actually express their pain rather than suppress them, especially destigmatizing emotional regulation. Taylor doesn't hesitate to shine a light on truly difficult mental health struggles. Gosh, I think about the pop stars when I was growing up. It was Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. And here we have a pop star who's actually openly talking about depression. She may be one of the biggest pop stars in the world, but her invitation into her inner world creates a fan base that feels known and seen. And because of that, they actually trust her. As my 22-year-old nephew said, who is such a Swiftie that he has posters in his apartment, he put it this way: in a world where no one trusts anyone, people trust her. And that is worth paying attention to. For me, what changed me from being a non-Swiftie to a Swiftie was hearing a song. It's the opening song off of the album Folklore called The One. It tells the story of a person who has moved on from a relationship. She holds no bitterness, no anger. She's fully aware that she has moved on and that person has moved on too. And still she wonders, it could have been fun if you were the one. I was dumbstruck. At the time, I was recovering from a breakup with someone who had actually deployed to Kuwait. And we had dated for 6 months, and there was no anger, no bitterness when we broke up. It was just, you have to go, and I have to stay here. And so for years later, I would look back on that relationship, no anger or bitterness, just wondering what might have been. What could that have been like? She sings the songs, I persist and resist the temptation to ask you, if one thing had been different, would everything be different? I was dumbfounded. How did she do it? How did she capture exactly what I was feeling in this song? How did she give words to what I couldn't express myself? I felt so seen. I would listen to that song and I was able to emote. She gave me tools that I needed in a moment of vulnerability and pain. And for that, I will indeed forever be a Swiftie. And so I will offer you these closing words that do indeed come from our girl. We are happy, we are free and confused and lonely, all at the same time. It's miserable and magical. Everything will be all right if you keep me next to you. Everything will be all right if we just keep dancing like we're 22. Thank you.